Guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be doing my ultimate top 10. These are books that over the course of my life have stuck the test of time and really have a special place in my heart. Some of these I read last year, which is a big part of why I wanted to go ahead and update this list. I know I did one last year, but honestly, I have read so many new books this year, in the last year, and not only that, but I have experienced some new genres like thrillers. I had never read thrillers ever in my life until last year. So this list has changed a ton because of that. So it definitely seemed fair to do it. And it's really good timing because when you're seeing this video, the next day, which will be Wednesday, is my birthday. And so I figured it would be a great time to do a top 10. I will be honest, I really debated on a couple of these books because there was a book on this list up until this morning of filming this, and I changed my mind because there was a book that I was like, oh no, that needs to be on the list. And I had to remove something in order to put it on the list. So this definitely was a painful process when I had to choose these books. But without further ado, let's get started. Now, these are in order from my least favorite to my most favorite. However, these books could always move up and down this list. This is not a set in stone kind of list, just because that's the nature of reading. And the more nostalgia I feel towards it, the higher up it goes. So that's a big part of why a lot of these top couple of books are up there. But so the first one on this list is the one that almost didn't make the list because I forgot about it until I saw the book and I was like, oh no, that is Silver Elite. This is a book that I read this year. This one we are following Ren, and Ren is what they call modified, and what that means is that she has these telekinesis, telepathic abilities. I don't know the right word there. But she can talk to other modifieds with her mind. She can do this thing called inciting where she like makes you do things that you don't want to do. You know, she gets in your mind and makes you do it. She can read people's minds. She can do all kinds of things. And she's also really good with guns and like combat type stuff. But she's supposed to like be keeping a low profile. Well, she ends up not keeping a low profile. These military dudes who hate modifieds come to her house and they arrest her and her uncle. Or well, they arrest her uncle. And things end up hitting the fan. So then she ends up arrested and in a military academy. And they're like, hey, we don't believe that you didn't know your uncle wasn't a rebel. So we are going to keep an eye on you and you're going to join our military academy for us to do that. Well, she hates being there. She doesn't want to be there. And she ends up doing whatever she can to try and get cut, but they will not cut her because they're convinced that she's faking and they don't care because they need to keep an eye on her. So we're following her as she's going through this academy, and she ends up having this like heated love-hate relationship with this guy Cross. Now, Cross is her commanding officer. Cross is a soldier who is very, very opposed to modifieds. His dad is a general who is leading the war against the modifieds. So she's having to keep quiet, and it is really hard keeping quiet when you are surrounded by people who hate your very existence. I really love this. I loved the relationship between her and Cross. I love the secret keeping and the military stuff. I absolutely love military stuff, and I love a military academy. So this book had everything that I absolutely wanted in a book. I absolutely loved it. This one I read in February, I think. So it's a super recent read. So that also definitely plays a part in the fact of how much I love it, because very nostalgia. And not like nostalgia, but like recency bias. That's the word here for this book. So we'll see how it feels at the end of the year when I've read more books and all those kinds of things. So we'll see. The next one on this list is the one that I just couldn't bump off the list for nostalgia, and that is Six of Crows. Six of Crows and me, we go way back. I have read Six of Crows multiple times. I just love it. And when I got fired in like 2019, and I was like distraught, absolutely distraught. Like my whole identity was shattered. It was a whole thing. Six of Crows is the book that I read to make myself feel better. And when you hear the premise, you'll be like, what the heck? But that's a big part of why I could not move it off this list, is because it holds such a special place in my heart. And I just couldn't kick it off. But Six of Crows is part of the Grisham world, but it is separate from the Shadow and Bone books. So you can read them completely separate. I did. I read Six of Crows first. And I love the characters in this book. We are following Kaz, and he has got this like ragtag team of criminals, and their wraiths and their gunshots. I guess that's what you call it. Gunslinger. He's a gunslinger, whatever. And we've got some Grisha, and we've got a ex uh, officer from this military prison who is joining our team, who hates us, by the way. And we've got him joining our team because we are going on this mission to try and break someone out of the prison that this dude was a part of, right? So we're going to break this dude out in order to use his scientific abilities, because he can make this thing called Jerda, and we need that in our hands and not in the hands of the enemy. So we're going to go break him out. And this prison is impossible to break into. So we've got quite a task ahead of us. And I love the back and forth. I love the banter. I love how dark this book gets. Like, this book is young adult, so it can't get like too dark, but it's as dark as young adult can get. And this is actually what opened the door for me to read actual adult grim dark books, because I just love this. It's brutal. Kaz is a leader of a gang, and he is known as the Demon or Dirty Hands, and he has no care about anything. And he is not afraid of nothing. He will, if you got a gun pointed at him, he's going to step right into that gun and dare you to shoot him. Like, just very edgelord, and I just absolutely loved it. So this one had to be on this list. The next on this list is Wall of Storms. This is book 2 to the Grace of Kings series. This one, I just love so much more than book 1. Not because it's so much better than book 1, but I really loved the depth that we got into with some of these flashbacks. Like, everyone hated the flashbacks. So, like, why are we doing all these flashbacks? But, like, we literally go on, like, a 50 to 80 page flashback journey of this land and their leaders and how the everything kind of came to be. And it was just so, like, touching. And I just absolutely loved it. And it's funny because the flashback that we're following is like our enemy. And I loved it. I wanted to stay right there and read more about this enemy that we have, and his growing up and how he like learns how to outmaneuver people. And I love when people outmaneuver people. And that's a big part of why I love the Grace of King series, is because it's a lot of battle strategy and a lot of creating inventions in order to outsmart your opponent. And I love in these books where we get to see both sides of the equation. So, like, we get to see what the enemy's doing, and we're like, oh, dang, what are they doing? I don't know that we can beat that. And then we get into that, and then we're like, oh, we have such great ideas. And I just absolutely love that. So, if you don't know, like, the premise of book 1, it's a lot. We're following, most we're following Cooney, and Cooney is this, I don't know, he's like a little thief and just this, I don't know, he's just on the streets, not really going anywhere. He's doesn't really have a plan for his life, but he has all these big ideas. And he ends up falling in love with this girl, and her family hates him because he's going nowhere. And they're really worried that he's just going to like drag her down, right? Well, she's totally fine with it because she just loves him, and she sees the potential in him, which, you know, ladies, we all know, we've all been there, right? Well, it actually worked out for her, because in the story, we watch Cooney as he starts to rise the ranks, and he starts to become a leader, and he figures out what it is that he wants to do. And you can see him being smart and outmaneuvering people. And he's in this empire where our emperor was assassinated. And so now everything's kind of like up in the air, and we're trying to figure out who's going to take over. And we've also got this one dude, Matta is how I call him. And he was actually in line for the throne when the dude got assassinated. And so now he's like, that was supposed to be mine. So him and Cooney kind of like band together in order to kind of join this war. But you're also seeing a lot of different people. We're seeing all kinds of generals. We're seeing all kinds of inventors, and we're following some gods. It's just a lot of different perspectives. And it's told in a way of like these short stories. And so you'll follow this one character for like a handful of pages, and they go on this whole journey, and you just fall in love with them in such a short time. And Ken Liu, he does a fantastic job in this story. And if you like epic adventures and lots of characters and perspectives and outsmarting your opponent, this is definitely a fantastic book to get into. The next one on this list was a book that I read last year, and oh my gosh, I just absolutely loved it. This was one of my favorite thrillers last year. This is Last Mrs. Parrish. This one, we are following this girl, Amber, and Amber decides that she wants to take Daphne's husband. Daphne is married to Jackson, and Daphne and Jackson are high society. They're very rich, like very, very rich. And Amber thinks that Daphne is not appreciative of the life that she's been given. So she befriends Daphne in order to infiltrate her life and sort of like wedge herself in between Daphne and her husband in order to take him. And Amber is one of those characters where you aren't super rooting for her because you're just like, how can I root for you right now? Like, you're literally trying to steal this woman's husband. And, like, she's done absolutely nothing wrong to you. Like, she has been the greatest friend to you, taking you under her wing, and you're going to steal her husband. So, she may not be the most rootable character, but you know she has secrets. And she has a history where we don't know what happened, but we know it was bad. And we know that she's running from something. And I just love the chaos of it all. I loved following Amber as she attempts to do this, and you're just like, oh my gosh, Daphne, how are you being outsmarted by this woman? Like, how can you not see through her? And it's just so much fun. And I can't tell you anything more than that, except once I hit that mid book twist, I was gone. Absolutely gone. I could not put this book down. You couldn't even pay me to put this book down because it was just so good. And I absolutely love the twist in this book. The next one on this list is a romantasy that I absolutely slept on. I know lots of people were talking about it, and they hyped it up huge over the last couple of years. And I did not want to read it because it was a romantasy. How stupid was I, right? This one is Fourth Wing. I loved Fourth Wing. Fourth Wing was the best thing ever. I'm so glad that I quit being stupid and I read this book because let me tell you, it was everything that I needed in a book. I absolutely loved it. We're following Violet, and Violet is very frail, like with her body. Like her bones break all the time, and she was destined to be a scribe. Like she wants to be a scribe. She's super academic, and it was going to be very safe for her because of her body. Well, her mom is a general of the dragon riders and all these things, and her mom's like, sorry, you're going to be a dragon rider. So she gets kind of thrown into this Dragon Rider Academy, and she only has 6 months to prepare, whereas everyone else is like lived their entire lives knowing this is where they're going. So she's a little bit behind, and she has to use her brains in order to outmaneuver people and kind of prove that she needs to be there. In this military academy, they are very brutal. They will kill you on the mat and not even think twice about it. They will attack you in your dorm room and not even think twice. It's actually illegal to attack them when they're sleeping. But they don't even care because they're going to get rid of the weak links. And as far as weak link goes, she's probably one of the weakest as far as like her body. But because of her mind, she is able to keep up and she's able to outthink people and she's able to survive this world. And I just love watching her do what she does. I love her feistiness and the fact that she is one who can overcome obstacles and she doesn't let things stop her. Like she's very much like, yeah, I may be small and I may be breakable, but I'm not going to let it stop me. I'm going to find a way to do it. And I love a character like that. I love a strong character that goes after what they want. And after a couple weeks, she decides that like she wants to be there. She's like, I'm here, so I'm going to buy in and I'm going to do it. Meanwhile, she has this friend Dane who is like, you need to go be a scribe. I'll sneak you out. And she's like, no. And so like they're having to deal with that. Meanwhile, she's got this other dude, Zayden, who is called a wing leader. And he's like a couple levels above her. He's a third year. And his dad was killed by Violet's mom. And she's been warned, stay away from him. He has every reason to kill you. And she is just so drawn to him. And so she can't not be around him. And then some other things happen, and like she really can't not be around him. And she's dealing with that dynamic, and she's dealing with Dane, and she's just, it's a lot happening in this book. And it is romantasy. So I'll let you figure out which one she's going to go with. But I definitely recommend this. It is super fast paced, and I cried with this book. I cried with the second book, like, so emotional. And I love an emotional book. The next one on this list is also a thriller that I absolutely loved last year, and that was Brother. Brother is a horror thriller. This one we were following this dude, Michael. And Michael grew up in a very abusive household. He was essentially kidnapped from his family, and he comes to live with these people, and he doesn't know that. He doesn't know that he's been kidnapped. And they end up beating him and teaching him how to kidnap other people. And they are cannibals, so they cook them and eat them. And it is very, very terrible. Like, his whole existence is just wild. And his brother's super abusive and manipulative. And so, like, his brother is simultaneously his only friend and his biggest enemy. And his brother absolutely hates him. And he goes back and forth between being really good to him and like just being terrible. And his parents are terrible. And it's just absolutely wild. And Michael ends up meeting this girl. Her name is Alice. And he is starting to think about like running away with her and leaving his family. But he's very torn between loyalty to his family and wanting a better life. And that's all that I can tell you, because it, like, there's not a whole lot of plot. It gets very, very character driven, but I just fell for Michael. Like, I absolutely loved Michael, and this was dark, and it intrigued me from the very beginning. So if you don't like it slow, this book is probably not going to be on your top 10 list. But if you love slow characters and you just love digging deep into the characters, this might be it for you. The next one is the Age of Madness series by Joe Abercrombie. This is his second trilogy in his First Law world. So you have the First Law series, then you have 3 standalones, and then you have Age of Madness, and it's 3 books. And this has to be on the list because it is just so good. I absolutely love this. Now, don't get me wrong, I do love First Law, but I think that the plot is so much better in Age of Madness, and I just flew through these. Could not get enough of these characters. I really love the how everything kind of circles back, from like the beginning to the end, and we have a lot of the parallels between the First Law series and the Age of Madness series, and a lot of how the characters end up and the journeys that they go on. And I just think that it was done much better in the Age of Madness, and I really think that the plot is much more fast paced than the First Law, which is why this one's here. In this one, we are following the same world, but we're following Orso, who is the son of a king, and he's very useless, like absolutely useless. Like, he wants to be more helpful and more beneficial to his country, but he's just useless. And I love him so much. I love watching him attempt to figure himself out and attempt to become more useful, and how much it helps or hurts in this world that he's in. And it's just so much fun. And we have Savine. She is a daughter from the first one, and she is very money hungry. Like, that's all she wants. She wants as much money as she could possibly get. And she is dealing with the fact that she's been attacked in this first one. And she kind of goes down a road that you wouldn't think she would go down because of her being attacked. And her character is just so interesting. All she cares about is survival. And you see that in the way that she interacts with people and how she is doing in her business deals. Like, she's very business savvy, and she is just very, very, I don't even know how to describe her. She's just very smart, and she will do whatever it takes to get to what she wants. We're also following Leo, and Leo is the son of a trader. And so he's trying to like make a name for himself and trying to show that he's loyal to his country, and it's just hard for him. And we're following Ricky. and she is a seer. She can prophesy. Like, she has the long eye, and so she'll get these visions, and she'll have seizures while she's having them, and she can like see things. And it's so interesting watching their stories sort of intersect, because there is a war going on. It's a civil war, basically, where we have these workers in these factories and stuff, and they're treated terribly, very low wage, and they're horrible, horrible working conditions. So they decide that they're going to rise up and attack the wealthy. And then the wealthy is like, okay, well, we'll just like dismantle everything, and we'll get rid of the people who were in charge, and we'll just start it over. And then we're figuring out what happens when everything kind of like crumbles, and people getting more power and what that does to people. And it really hits, because it has a lot of discussions about the wealthy versus the poor and working conditions, and what happens when the system is corrupt and things like that. And it's just so good. The next one on this list is The Bloodsworn. This one is by John Gwynne. This one is very Norse mythology inspired. They're Vikings, and we are following three different people. We're following Elvar, who is a Viking on this battleship, and she is attempting to rise the ranks, trying to make a name for herself, because her dad is pretty popular and kind of famous, and she doesn't want to use his name at all. She just wants to like make her own way, so she's doing that. We're following Varg, who is on the search for a witch, a very specific kind of witch, because his sister was murdered, and he is trying to get this witch to show him the last moments of her death, so we can find out who killed her, so that he can go get revenge. So he and his sister, they were slaves. Well, he broke free of being a slave, and now he is joining this war band in order to have access to the witch. And he has no idea what he's doing, and he is so much fun to watch. And then we're also following Orca. And Orca is a mother whose child was stolen, and she is out for revenge. She is going to get her child back. And so she's just a lot of fun to watch, and we get to see later how their stories intersect. They're very individual stories for a lot of it, because they're living their own lives, they're doing their own things. And so their lives intersect because of these children that are being stolen. Like, everyone's being affected by that. Meanwhile, we also have these they're called thralls, and that means that they have blood of the gods in them. And because of that, they have like these little abilities that they can do. Like, if they're descended from a god, like the rat, then they can smell better. Like, not smell better, but like they have better sense of smell. Or they can be descended from a god, of a bear, and then they can be really strong and things like that. Or if they're descended from the wolf god, then they have better hunting skills, things like that. And they're slaves, and they have to like hide who they are, because nobody wants them around and nobody can really trust them. So there's a lot of discussion about that sort of thing, and um, how we treat people based on their race or their genetics or whatever, you know. So it was so good, and I love the characters in this. I love following Varg and Orca. Orca and Varg were definitely my favorites, but I loved laughing at Varg because he doesn't know what he's doing, and so I was really entertained. John Gwynne does a really good job with his battle scenes, and he does a really good job with his characters, and I just absolutely love this. So if you haven't read anything by John Gwynne and you don't want to get into his other series, then maybe Bloodsworn is the place to start. Number 2 on this list is Faithful and the Fallen by John Gwynne. This one is a 4-book series where we are following Corbin, and this one is very much good versus evil. We have Corbin, who is he's just your regular, typical farm kid growing up. All he wants to do is be a knight and protect his king. Well, he gets wrapped up in this war, this god war happening, where each of the gods, you've got the good god and the bad god. I don't remember, Elion and Azeroth, I think. Yeah, that's right. They are picking a champion, and we're getting this prophecy where they're going to pick a champion, and they're going to gather all these things, and they're going to battle it out for the sake of all mankind. And Corbin just wants to live his little life. He doesn't want to be wrapped up in this war, but he's getting wrapped up in this war. And honestly, everyone's going to get wrapped up in it because nobody is safe, because the Bright Star and the Black Sun, they are essentially getting their war bands together through this series, and they're going to battle it out. It becomes a situation where if you're not for me, then you're against me, and so now you're an enemy. And we have all kinds of characters. We've got some Jahar warriors. We've got some slaves. We've got almost like Vikings in this. Essentially, they're like Viking-esque in this. We have what are they called? Giants. We have some giants in this. We've got magic. We've got all kinds of things, and I just love this because it's very much a classic fantasy where it's your young boy who's like coming of age and he's learning who he is, and he's got this friend group, and we have some tragedy and we have some really heartfelt moments of you're my friend and I'm here for you and I'm going to stand by your side through all of it, and so it just like, oh, absolutely gets me. This is one of the first adult fantasies that I read, and it has a very, very special place in my heart. And I love when it's swords. I love swords, and I love like battling with swords. I love the battle strategy, and I love the characters. It's just so good. And then the last one on this list is Beartown by Frederick Bachman. This one, we're following this hockey town, and in this town, hockey is life. If you're not part of hockey, then you don't exist. And in this town, the work is dying. Like, it's just a dying town. There's not enough work. Money's tight, all these things. And so everyone is living through this 17-year-old hockey team because they're getting ready to go play for a national championship. They're going to go to the tournament. And everyone is super excited about this. And they have a lot riding on this because if the hockey team does well, then they bring in tourists or they bring in other people who want to play hockey. And then that helps the town grow, right? So what ends up happening is one of the stars on the team ends up attacking a girl in the town. And the town reacts the way that people are going to. Some of them are going to react very well, and some of them are going to react horribly. And this is a discussion on how do we respond when things like this happen in our town? How do we respond when someone we love does this kind of atrocious attack? How do we respond when someone we love has gone through this as a victim? And it also really explores the culture of sports and how much do we allow in our athletes and how much do we hold them to a standard. Like, as a coach and as a program, do we hold them to a standard in their personal lives, or do we leave that alone and we just focus on the sport itself? And this book explores that in one of the most beautiful ways, and I absolutely love this. This is one of my favorite books ever. I reread it all the time, and I've even like gone back through and like looked at my notes and stuff for a video that I did for it, just crying. It just hits me so hard, and I think that part of that is the way that Frederick Bachman writes it, but I also think a lot of that is my connection to sports and how much this delves into the culture of sports and things, and it's just so good. I absolutely love this. If you've not read anything by Frederick Bachman and you're okay reading trauma, like you don't get triggered easily by trauma, then absolutely try this one because this is one of his best ones. All right, guys. So that is my ultimate top 10. Have you read any of these? What books are on your ultimate top 10? Let me know in the comments, and I will see you in the next one.